I'm sure that the U.S. has absolutely no say in it. No, what you think doesn't matter at all to this process, right? Is that what you're trying to tell me? I'm asking a very simple question. Does your support of the Afghan-led process include support for the Taliban opening an office in Qatar?
If this is part of an Afghan-led, Afghan-supported process, and the Afghan government itself believes it can play a constructive role, and it is also supported by the host country, then we will play a role in that as well.
Well,
I think I've
you'll
answered
play a
the
role.
question.
Will you, do you support it?
Again, it has to be under the right conditions,
Well,
namely
no,
that it
okay.
supports Afghan-led reconciliation.
When you refer to the host country, you mean to Qatar?
Well, Qatar is the country that's reported to be considering hosting.
But you're saying that you don't have any independent knowledge that it's Qatar?
I'm saying that there's been no formal announcement. We've seen
And you
the
don't know
same.
of any negotiations going on for it to be in Qatar at all? Come on, we're dancing around. This is kind of ridiculous. You guys are integral to the entire thing. You know, you've known for months that this is the idea that's been going on. I'm trying to why can't you come out and say, yes, we think it would be a good, or we can support, as long as the Afghans are supportive of it and as long as the Qataris are willing to host it, we can support an office being there.
Because again, this is not our negotiation to lead. This is a situation that the Afghan government has to be comfortable with. The Afghans have to make their own decisions, and they have to work this through.
Yeah,
but if it is deemed by the Afghan government to be supportive of Afghan-led reconciliation, then we have already said that we are open to it.
Okay, you say again, there's an Afghan-led process, but there are certain red lines, right?
Certain red lines in terms of overall reconciliation.
Right,
yes.
Exactly. So it's not entirely an Afghan-led process, because if all of a sudden Karzai decides that he doesn't think it's important for the Taliban to respect the rights of women, are you guys going to go along with it?
Well, at the current moment, our red lines are the same red lines that the Afghan government has. So if that changes, we'll obviously have to talk about it in that context.
Putting an office in Qatar gives the Taliban exposure and access and diplomatic legitimacy and so on. And these are the people that the United States went to war against back in 2001.
Again, the Secretary said it 100 times. You don't negotiate a peace deal at the end of a war with your friends. We've seen in many other conflict situations that you have to have a political address if you're going to begin a political conversation. The Afghans themselves have said that they are frustrated that the Taliban do not have a political address. That's what the Loya Jirga called for. That's also what President Karzai said that he would support in these statements on the 27th of December. But it's obviously up to them to work it out.
So should this effort be perceived as an effort to negotiate the end of the war?
Again, let's start with trying to reconcile the key fighters and get them off the battlefield, and let's go from there. Please. Yeah.
No, Victoria, one more thing on the Taliban office. Why Qatar will be hosting this office?
I think that's a question for Qatar, not for us. Please. Yeah.
Can you say anything about the State Department role in catching this arson guy in Los Angeles over the weekend? Or yesterday, I guess. Alleged. Excuse me.
The accused?
The accused. I don't know if he's been charged yet. I think he's still the alleged.
I can give you a little bit more, Kirat. I think you know that the Los Angeles Police Department had a press conference, I think it was yesterday or earlier this morning, in which they thanked federal authorities for cooperating. We are proud that we were one of those cooperating federal authorities in this case. Just for those of you who don't have the background, starting on Friday, December 30th, and continuing into the early hours of Monday, January 2nd, there were a series of over 50 arson fires in and around Los Angeles, primarily in West Hollywood and Hollywood. And the LAPD set up an interagency arson task force to follow the fires. Over the New Year's Eve weekend, that task force put out video showing a person of interest exiting a parking lot and asked for the public's help. This led to agents in our diplomatic security field office in Los Angeles being able to make contact with the task force and giving them certain information based on a separate ongoing investigation about a German national that we'd been having with the LAPD, which ultimately helped lead to the arrest of the arsonist. And we cooperated throughout the weekend with the task force until it was stood down.
And what exactly was that information? I mean, it's been reported that it was part of a deportation case involving the alleged person's mother. Can you confirm that?
I don't want to speak about the precise other individual, except to say that our LA office was working, of diplomatic security, was working with LAPD on a provisional arrest warrant for the Germans on an individual who was connected to this case. And so it was on the basis of that that they recognized Burkhardt himself and were able to provide information. And then we were able to share the information we had developed with the Germans on the case with LAPD, which was helpful to them in making the arrest.
So it was just one person who, just to connect the dots, it was one person who just happened to see the picture and happened to connect the dots themselves and then recognized him, right? It was nothing beyond that, right?
Yeah, it was a member of diplomatic security who was working a separate case and saw this and then began cooperating, and then our cooperation, including information from the investigation that we were conducting, was helpful further on in the case. We shared a whole bunch of our information, which helped LAPD.
You said that there was a warrant for this person?
There was a provisional German arrest warrant, and we were working on that case with the Germans.
Still on this?
Yeah.
Did either of these two Germans get a visa, or did they enter this country without a visa under the visa waiver program?
Well, I'm going to first give our usual disclaimer, and then I'm going to tell you what I can, Matt, and you're going to shake your head before we even start. But first, let me tell you that visa confidentiality laws prohibit us from commenting on individual visa cases. That said, I can tell you that at this point we have not been able to locate a visa record on either of these individuals, either the original relative or the suspect who was arrested. I will tell you, as you know...
Which would imply...
What I'd like to tell you, though, is that German nationals who meet the standards of the U.S. visa waiver program are not required to have visas. So it's conceivable that they came in under the visa waiver program.
The fact that they were not been able to locate, right, which was, I thought, all I asked in my question, would imply that they had come into the country under the visa waiver program, correct?
Again, I'm going to send you to Customs and Border Protection to finish going through the records.
I just want you to try, I'm just trying to get you to complete the sentence. Because you have not been able to locate a visa record for either of these people, that would imply, no, not definitely confirm, but it would imply that they entered the country without a visa, which would mean that they had come in legally, but under the visa waiver program,
I'm going to
correct?
say to you that it is possible. I don't want to make any implications because, you know, it's up to Customs and Border to make an exhaustive search of the visa record.
And the Privacy Act applies, does it continue to apply until someone's convicted of a crime, or do they only have to be accused of setting half of Los Angeles on fire before the U.S. government is ready to talk about, or ready to waive that?
I think that was a facetious question.
No, I don't want to know. Does it require a conviction, or do you just, or because, you know, the LAPD didn't have any problem in giving this guy's name, date of birth, nationality?
No, I don't have any problem talking about Harry Burkhardt. It's the other individual that I think it's up to LAPD to speak about.
Last
Please.
question on Libya. There's been renewed fighting this morning between different militias. Mr. Abdel Jalil already warning of civil war. How do you assess the process of disarming militias in Tripoli in particularly? And do you believe that the country is descending towards civil war?
Well, you know, we have long supported the plans of the central authorities in Tripoli to create a central security force, a central Libyan army in which all these militias who wanted to integrate could find a place, and otherwise they could have an opportunity to disband. So we obviously support the government's efforts to continue to do that. And we have said all along that if there are specific requests that the Libyan government has of the United States, of NATO, et cetera, on how this process could go forward, we're prepared to support them. We are already giving them some advice. So, you know, obviously there's been some continued fighting. We are concerned about that, but we want to see these issues resolved peacefully and resolved in a way that gives all Libyans confidence that they'll have a place in the future democratic Libya.
Logistically speaking, do you have any U.S. military advisors that advise him of how to get the different militias together or to form them into a central army?
We do not have U.S. military advisors in Libya at the moment. We've said that we are open to helping support the government-led process, and we are looking for concrete ideas from them of how we can be helpful.
Can we go to Iraq?
Yeah.
Could you tell us if Ambassador Jeffrey or anyone is involved in the ongoing reconciliation talks or reconciliation
Well,
efforts?
Ambassador Jeffrey has been in and out of Iraq throughout this period. As you know, he's been talking to all of the major Iraqi leaders, the vice president as well, made some key phone calls in the days before and after Christmas, trying to encourage Iraqis to come together and have a conversation about the issues that divide them, and we remain closely monitoring that situation. But there do seem to be a great number more important voices inside Iraq making the same points, that they need to find a forum, sit down together, and work it through.
Okay, Mr. Maliki's bloc in parliament are accusing now the Iraqi president, Talabani, of being a terrorist himself and harboring his vice president, who is also a wanted terrorist. Do you have any comment on that?
Well, we don't think name-calling is the right solution here. We
Right.
think sitting down, having a dialogue, working through how all sides can support and uphold the key tenets of the Iraqi conversation and constitution, and working within it is the way to go.
But seeing how
You still on Iraq?
Egypt.
Yeah. Anything else on Iraq? No? Okay, Egypt. please.
Do you have anything to say about the latest developments, especially after your announcement and what came out of the Pentagon regarding if there is promises to stop these raids on the human rights organizations or non-profit organization or non-governmental organization? Because it seems that there is a difference, I mean, of explanation. I mean, here it is explained as a political issue. Over there, the official narrative is saying that it's a legal issue, and why it's those fuss about if they are legal or not legal. So, and that's I'm trying to figure out, and there was no any comment from your side, as it was reported in New York Times or Washington Post regarding this issue.
Well, obviously we made strong statements on Thursday and on Friday before the long weekend, statements of concern with regard to the raids on NGO offices. We had been assured by leaders in the Egyptian government that this issue would be resolved, that harassment would end, that NGOs